What is up, guys? Since you made it to this video, I want to applaud you for grinding and growing within your craft. And so today we're going to be using the new CameraX and Firebase Visioner to create a simple barcode scanner. My goal here today is going to be able to provide you guys with a workable, easy to understand code base, one that you can either use as is or alter it as it fits the scope of your project. So with that being said, let's get to work. So this app is actually pretty light. We have a main activity that has a button that's going to open up our barcode activity here. The barcode activity, the only thing that it really has is this preview view and an image view, which I'm using as a reticle. I actually want to start here in the Gradle file because it's really important that you guys make sure to add this compile options, because if you don't, you're going to see a pretty annoying bug. And you also want to make sure to add this line here. Without this line, you're going to see a guava bug, a guava error in your logcat. So we're going to make sure that we take care of that. Maybe by the time you see this, you don't need it, but I do know right now this is the current fix. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at our barcode activity. This is going to be where the majority of the work is going to be. The first thing we want to do is we just want to initialize our variables. So let's go ahead and set that up. And here, I want this to just scan a QR code. You can set this up to scan whatever you want. If you wanted to scan all of it, you don't have to specify. So for this tutorial's sake, we're just going to do a QR code. Alrighty, so step two, we basically set up our preview view. I've already went ahead and took care of that, and it's pretty straightforward. We've set up display metrics here, and we use that to get our screen aspect ratio. We also get our rotation here from the preview view, and then by getting this, we're able to create our preview, and we're also able to create this image analysis. And then we also are able to create this camera, and we enable the torch here. I know I like to have the torch enabled when I'm scanning the barcode, so you can add that here. And then, of course, this is where we set up our preview view. And so step three is where we set up our camera provider. And that's not a lot of code. We set it up here. And from here, we step into step four. And step four is actually really important because we're using this inner class, this machine learning analyzer, and you see that is extending our image analysis. So it's important to note that the analyze method, this is where we're going to be handling our response for the barcode. And I like to interpret every half second. You don't have to do that. That's just my personal preference. So I'm going to add some code here and get that set up. And this degrees to Firebase rotation is actually relatively simple. I'm just taking in the int and I'm returning the Firebase vision equivalent of that rotation. So that's all it is. Nothing too complicated. And so if we get a successful detection, we're going to get a list of barcodes. I'm expecting this list to only have one in there. And so our interpret results, it just is going to return that one that it finds. Simple as that. And so at this point, we have returned a barcode successfully. So let's go ahead and step to step 5. And step 5 is relatively small, but it's just as important. Here we want to make sure that we close out the image proxy. It's important to note this because if you don't do this and you want to have the type of setup to where you're scanning multiple barcodes back to back, if you don't close that image proxy, it's just going to return that first one and then you won't get any more results. So let's make sure we close this. And from here, we can step into step 6, which is basically interpreting the results that we get back from the barcode. We get back from this analyze method. So let's go ahead and interpret the results, and we want to send that barcode back to our main activity. And this is pretty straightforward. We basically take our barcode, we create an intent here, and we include that as an intent extra. We use set results, so the main activity will get that back in its own activity result method. And of course, we use finish to close out this barcode activity. And the last thing we would need to do would be just to start our image analysis. So let's go ahead and set that up. Alrighty, so at this point, we should have a workable barcode. Let's go ahead and run the application and see if it works. Alrighty, so we have the app opened here. We're going to go ahead and open that barcode activity, and we're seeing it. And it looks like the barcode is working. So, in a nutshell, this is just as simple as that. A little bit of code, and we're able to get a live barcode activity working. So, with that being said, guys, that wraps up today's tutorial. I want to thank you for joining me today. Feel free to check out the GitHub link below for a reference to the code base. Comment below if there's any other tutorials you might want to see, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.